Hey everyone, welcome. I'm back home in New Mexico, and I wanted to do it outside because I got home to some lovely rain and even heard thunderstorms, which you may hear. We just don't get that a lot here, so we're in what's called monsoon season, which that word seems so funny to me in the high desert, but it's the time of year when we tend to get a lot more rain, and we're getting it, which is nice because you don't always get it. So anyway, I wanted to do day 11 of release. What's weighing you down? Hey, Carrie. I'm going to wave back to you. And so this feeling addicted to food, like I can't stop. And hey, hearts to you too. If I can do them there we go. Once I start, I can't stop. And I know when I was in a 12-step group, I read this stuff because it's very much like, it's like taking that first drink. All of a sudden, if you eat a food that's a trigger for you, it's all of a sudden you're off and running. And I remember, I would say, this was the primary feeling of hopelessness and helplessness that I had is, okay, today it's going to be different. This time I'm going to start over, and it's going to be different. And then I would do something off and I'd be like, I blew it. I just blew it. And the spiral would begin. So a couple things. I think this speaks to cellular addiction, so peptide addiction, that our cells not only physiologically become addicted to certain foods, but also emotionally we become addicted to the behavior with it, whether we want to be or not. And this is literally like physiology and neuroscience. They talk about peptide cellular addiction. So this is why the black and white thinking is not going to work, and I'm going to go on a diet and now suddenly I'm just going to stop eating all this stuff that I've eaten. You can't do it. Physiologically and emotionally, from a cellular perspective, you can't. So that's why, to me, it is so important to, first of all, just say, okay, I'm letting myself off the hook here with all this. I'm going to work on my self-judgment. And I say it this way, sort of screw the food plan right now. And again, this is Marty Murphy's personal opinion. If you're under the care of a physician, talk to them as well. Absolutely. But it's that idea of, to me, it's like, screw the food plan. Like, I have to deal with the fact that I judge myself for this constantly, and I need to deal with my emotions. And when you get more, and even that, you can say that, but that's a practice and a process too. That is not going to happen like that either. When I first hooked up with the accountability, the sponsor that I had, like I said, sometimes the only thing that stopped me from a binge or, from eating inappropriately, let's call it how I saw it that way, was I don't want to call her and tell her that. But the other piece was, which is so important to know, is by the time I signed on board with her, I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired of it. Like something had shifted in me, at least emotionally, and I'm like, I'm so ready to be done with this, even though I still had behaviors after that. So, and the thing that she helped me with tremendously was, everybody talked about what a badass she was, but she wasn't. She was just solid and real and was like, it's going to take, don't beat yourself up about it. And what's ironic is I went to her because everybody told me what a badass she was and how she would hold my feet to the fire. And, you better be ready to be abstinent, they called it, because she's a badass. And I think people were just terrorized of her. But to me, because she'd been there herself, she had this realistic idea of it, that you're not going to just stop it. So the other thing I want to say is, up until I found tapping, I would tell you there was still a part of me that still had this inclination, hey, Emily, to be drawn to food as comfort. I would resist it more often because I had practiced resisting it more often than I hadn't. But once I started tapping, when I told you, all of a sudden I was like, I mean, a vast majority of my behaviors had changed completely. I really wasn't doing the binging and any of that. But what I'm trying to express here is there were times that it was through force of will that I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the difference to me now is the utter freedom that I feel around food and that. And it's not to say that I don't emotionally eat at times. Sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, oh wow, I'm emotionally eating. And I chuckle about it instead of being like, oh my gosh, those of you know, beating the crap out of myself. So I would say if you're looking for it to disappear forever, that's realistically probably the first flaw. But if you want to believe the idea that you can feel utter freedom, I think like many people do around it, that's totally possible. And I know this from personal experience. I say this with utter confidence. So I wanted to, it's just so, I'm going to do a whole freaking series on this. So that said, the idea behind this is it takes time. It takes practice. It takes practice to practice a new behavior. And I think I said this on one of the videos before. I was really never drawn to this particular bit of work, which is funny because I have so much freaking life experience with it. And now I'm at this stage where it just feels like a thing to do, meaning dealing with emotional eating, dealing with, weight issues and all the trappings around that. And it just came. I had people asking me, hey, can you do a 21 days on this and then that? And so that's the inspiration for the program that I'm going to be starting in October on this. So if you want more information about that, just message me and let me know. I'm happy to share it with you or have a conversation. Again, anybody that's like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to her because she's going to try and talk me into anything. I was telling my husband this today. I'm so like out of the coaching loop in that, okay, handle it this way. And at this point you say this, and about 3/4 of the way through you do this. And I was just like, I can't do it. So if you want to have a conversation, just know there is absolutely no pressure on my end. It absolutely has to feel like a fit. And I feel like I've had the great fortune to have chosen coaches that I've worked with. And I have a coach now that have never done that to me. Never been someone that's like, okay, run to the back of the room with your freaking credit card. I can't stand it. So anyway, that is a little plug, but it feels very natural to say that here. Just about a conversation. So on back to emotionally feeling addicted, because we cellularly are and physiologically we are in that way. So the emotions are tied to our cellular the cells in our body. The other thing too is, this is kind of cool, and I posted this in my Break Free group when we did this. It's a guy named Matt Kahn. When he talks about like when you have really strong emotions or and you have pain feeling emotions, I at times when I'm going through something in particular, I actually just went through it this week. I had one night where I just was really letting myself sort of sob and release through all the stuff that was going on with getting my daughter settled and dealing, working with my ex-husband and all that. And there were moments, it was very painful feeling it. And what I love, what he says about it, which is so true to me, is physical pain. When you're feeling emotions and you feel the physical pain and you feel the tightness here, it's cellular debris leaving the body, meaning the emotions that the cells get, that create the cellular debris in the cells, if I'm saying that right, I'm probably not. It's how it's releasing. And when you know that, and I know that, I'm like, I embrace it more, even though it's still no fun and it's still uncomfortable to feel potent emotions. I am so much more embracing of it now because I truly know something's shifting. So I wanted to say all of that. So key, restriction does not work. It never works. If it does, it's temporary. So that's the first thing I want to say about this. So, and part of why we feel like we can't stop, if you think about it this way, you're telling yourself you should. I should stop this behavior. I have to stop this behavior. I need to stop this behavior. I can't stop this behavior. Oh my God, I ate it again. Oh my God. And the beating happens after that, and you can't stop. So that's what I want to tap on. So karate chop. Even though it's actually true, this is really true right now for me. I can't stop. I can't. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. Even though this is so true for me, it's true right now. If I take that first bite, a lot of times I'm done for. I can't stop. I know I want to. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. It's true. Right now, this is my truth. It's not a lie. I can't stop. Because this is a behavior I've been practicing for a very long time. I've created a habit. I've actually created addiction in my body, addiction in my cells. So right now, it is true. I can't stop. And what if? What if it's possible? Here it comes. To make that okay. What? Are you crazy? But seriously, have I ever really, truly made it okay for myself? Like, really made it okay? I'm binging again. I totally would stop if I could. That statement is really true. I really would stop if I could. But my brain has started to believe all the propaganda that I've been told. Buck up. Just put the fork down. Just push the plate away. Take half portions. Just have that small bite. You think I haven't tried all of this? All of it. You name it, I've probably tried it. This is not about willpower. It's not about willpower at all. This is actually about cellular addiction. And this is what I need support for. To go ahead and make mistakes, but start to see them differently. That's a huge first step. Right now I'm addicted to food. I am. And I may be for a while yet. But one thing I know, even if I feel like I've given up right now, even if I feel that, if I felt truly that something could finally get me there, I would swan dive into the remedy. Like swan dive. But the problem is, right now, I have too much evidence. Too much evidence in extremes. I was a good girl today. Or a good boy. I ate well. Crap, today, not so good. And what if this is the journey? I'm still addicted right now. And what if I can make that okay? And I like the idea that it's possible that there really is a different way to see this. A different way to do this. Where I'm getting rid of the extremes. Where I no longer have to diet. Seriously. Another diet? Bah. I've tried all those too. So what if the journey here is the emotional journey to each and every day? First of all, accept the truth. Right now I'm addicted. But I like the idea that I can learn to see this differently, to feel this differently, and to do it differently. I like that idea a ton. And I may not know how to do it yet, what it looks like, what it feels like, but what if, right here, right now, this is step number 1. It's true. I'm addicted right now. And what if, right now, I could consider the idea that that's okay, and not make myself wrong for this anymore. That would feel a bit like a relief. I like the idea that that could be possible. No matter what the bully in my brain is saying right now, Oh, you're right. You're crazy. It's never gonna work. Thank you for sharing. But I'm open to a different possibility. And I'm open to seeing this differently now. Take a breath. This is Min Min, one of my kitties. She's a rescue off the street. So, take a breath. I tell you, in my own experience, this is step number one, is like, put everything else off to the side and go, yeah, it's true. I can't stop right now. Sometimes, maybe I can't. Most of the time, no, I can't. And what if right now it's like, this is actually something I really love to do. I'm addicted right now. What if that can be a so what? I'm addicted. So what? I'm addicted. So what? I'm addicted. So what? What if I can learn to release this addiction? And the true first step is really accepting it as it is right here and now, and learning to no longer make myself wrong for this. Take a breath. So to me, this is the first step. It's like, yeah, and your brain's not going to believe it all. You catch yourself and you're like, yeah, so what? Okay, yeah, so what? Yeah, so what? Yeah, so what? Keep saying, so what? And again, the brain's going to fight it at first, but if you just do that simple mantra, yeah, okay, I ate that, so what? Yeah, I did that, so what? Okay, yep, I had that, so what? And just practice that. You're doing a pattern interrupt for sure, which is huge. And you're teaching your brain to start to see it differently. I can't tell you how this seems so simple, but it is so powerful, especially over time. You know, and it's the cliche, acceptance is the first step, but it's so true. It really is. And I think often we think in some ways we're accepting ourselves, especially when we give up and we're like, oh God, I'm freaking done with this. And there may be a cat fight ensuing here shortly, which I might have to break up. But it's that's key is we're like, you think because you've given up, because I know I went through so many times, just give up. But it's like, yeah, okay, I did it, so what? When you actually can start to really feel like, yeah, I did it, so what? What a difference. And I'm going to tell you one more story, and I swear I'm going to stop. So years ago, a girlfriend of mine who actually was quite overweight, but she definitely didn't have the same sort of emotional addiction that I have. And what I mean by that is what I marveled at, she definitely had, eating issues, but in this way. At one point she had gained 5 pounds, and she said, yeah, I went to go put my jeans on and I couldn't button them. And she said, and I went, oh. And she said, I fell on the bed and I had a moment and I just got up and went, oh well, I'll figure it out later. And why I tell you that story, my response, oh good, I'm glad you love the stories, Carrie, because I'm freaking full of them. My story, literally, and I don't know whoever this is true for, my story was when I would start to gain weight, I went into utter terror and panic. So it's just notice where you are with that. That, for me, the terror and panic was triggering something so much deeper, which I so know what it is, just my life as a child and all that. And not that she didn't have that. It was just, hers was manifested a little bit differently than mine. But what I marveled at her was her relaxed attitude about it in the moment. She's like, yeah, it sucks, but okay, whatever. Eventually I'll figure this out. And she did. so she was in much more of an accepting place of it. So, okay, ladies, glad I finally got around to this. Carrie, thanks for being here. Emily, thanks for you being here live as long as you were. And I hope you all found this helpful, and we'll see you back on here tomorrow at day 12. That's it. Bye for now. Have a great rest of your night, day, morning, wherever you are.